This is Calm AF, a podcast for humans who are hard on themselves. A podcast for the overthinkers, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers. I'm Kristen Finch, and I'm going to teach you how to quiet that incessant negative chatter in your head. Because you know what a person with a calm mind can do? Anything they want. Grab your coffee, gorgeous soul, because today's the day you get Calm AF. Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Calm AF. So happy to be hanging out with you again today. So a few weeks ago in my Instagram stories, I asked for people to submit questions or topics that they would love for me to talk about on the podcast. And I got some really good ones. By the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you do. I put a lot of great stuff, a lot of great content there, but also the stories. I spend a lot of time in the stories just having fun, just sharing things that I think kind of on today's topic bring joy and laughter and light to the world. We need more of that, right? So I do a lot of that on my Instagram stories. So make sure if you aren't following me there, I would love to connect with you there. It's Kristen Finch 10 is my Instagram handle, name, whatever it's called. But I got a lot of great questions and great topics that, people were asking me to talk about. So today I'm going to be answering one of those. And here is the question. When figuring out what brings you joy, things like hobbies, how do you go about that as an adult? And I picked this question specifically to start with because it is a question that I hear a lot. The reason being, it's incredibly common the older we get to kind of lose touch with our joy. And the reason is the world, right? Like the stories we're taught. Our society has super tight rules around what a successful life is and what you have to do, who you need to be, what it needs to look like in order for you to be considered successful, right? And the information we've been fed is that success comes from working hard, right? You have to be constantly in action mode, doing. We've learned that the secret to success is hard work, discipline, structure, SMART goals, achieving, hustling, climbing the corporate ladder, the social ladder, the worthy ladder, right? The productivity equals success. The more you do, the more success you'll have. And the reason why that feels important is because we also learn that the byproduct of success, like if you are successful, then you will be able to feel safe. Right? You'll be able to just relax and enjoy life once you have the success that the world is telling you need. And your brain's primary role is to keep you safe. Like it does all these other like high functioning things, but the primary role is truly to keep you safe. So you start learning quickly that following these arbitrary rules of success, being productive, all of that are more important than anything. So more important than rest, more important than self-care, and definitely following these rules, being productive and disciplined and structured and responsible is more important than joy and fun. Because joy and fun, according to our societal success story, is frivolous. Really, it's only acceptable once all the work is done, once all the responsible, serious things have been taken care of. The problem with this, clearly, is the work ever done? Are all the things ever taken care of? Is there always something else that you could do, a productive task that you could check off the list? Yes, it's never ending, right? Which means you never really get around to the joy. You never earn it because you're never done being productive. And when you've lived 30, 40, 50, 60 years believing that how productive you are is equivalent to how worthy you are, after postponing joy for most, if not all of your adult life, joy is going to feel way out of reach. The reason why it's hard to access joy, to remember what joy feels like in your body, to align with joy is because you filed it in your little brain filing cabinet as frivolous, unimportant, to do later, right? That comes later. But then something happens. The constant pushing past your breaking point, the constant punishing yourself and putting productivity ahead of everything else starts to feel like you're actually just running on a hamster wheel. Every time you think you're getting closer to that societal definition of success, there is something else that shows up and tells you, nope, not yet. You haven't done enough to earn your joy. You haven't done enough to earn fun. So you realize that fun and joy is never going to be earned because there will always be more. And once you see that, you can't unsee it, right? We all get to this point of like, hold on a second. What is joy? Where did the joy go? Where did the fun go? So you decide you're going to do it differently. You're going to prioritize rest and fun and self-care and joy. And when you think about that, it feels like a full body yes. Yes, I know that allowing myself to feel joy is not something I need to earn. And here's the thing. When you ask yourself at the end of your life, what made you so successful? You know the reason why it feels like a full body yes is because that you know what's not going to make that top 10 list of your success is how you sacrificed your joy for a clean house, or how you chose to work just a little bit longer instead of laughing or connecting or loving. I really hope you're hearing this. I'm so tired of people coming to this truth only when they are faced with mortality, either their own or someone else's. Listen, let's just go there. You're going to die someday, and you do not know when that day is going to be. So how about instead of rushing to live a life that feels wonderful to you after you've gotten sick or lost a person, how about you just choose to do that now? How about you just trust me that what you will learn when something turns your entire life upside down so that you can only see what really matters in life because you suddenly have no capacity for the bullshit about what society tells you is supposed to matter, what you're going to learn is that love and joy are the main characters of a successful life. Those are going to be the things. They are not frivolous. They are the foundation of a successful life. So, feels like a full body yes. I am doing it. I'm prioritizing joy. So you're like, okay, let's do it then, right? I'm not going to wait till it's too late. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to experience joy by, let's see. Joy. Things that make me feel joy. I know it's in here somewhere. Hobbies, anything? We haven't accessed it in so long, it feels really out of touch. And this is normal. Remember, you have filed joy in your for later file in your brain because it felt less important because of the rules that you've been following. But it is inside of you. You don't have to learn how to feel joy. It's like not a new thing that you've never felt. You just have to remember how to access it again. So let's talk about it. How do you reconnect with who you really are? Find activities that reconnect you to your joy now that you're an adult and you've had all this practice being responsible instead of feeling joy. So first, just think about when you have felt joy in the past, especially go to your childhood. When did you feel the happiest when you were a child? What activities or experiences did you seek out that made you feel free and joyful? Did you love doing arts and crafts? Did you love swimming or being out in the woods? If you had a full day to do whatever you wanted, what would you do? Would you play with your friends? Would you grab all the books and read as much as you can? Would you go out and explore on your bike? I remember when my kids were little, they were probably 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. And I brought them to my friend's house, and our plan was we were going to take them to the park. So I bring the kids' bikes, and I just assumed that the kids would ride and my friend and I would just walk to the park. That's always what we did at home. Just had never had a bike as an adult, so I didn't really think anything of it. So we're getting ready to go to the park, and my friend was like, oh, we can just ride bikes too. You can just use my husband's. And I was like, yeah, sure. So we get on the bikes and kids go, my friend goes, and I go. And I was like instantly reconnected to the feeling of joy. Like it was this shift. I don't even know how to explain it. I felt my full body. I just felt like laughter in my body and joy in my body. And I just remembered so vividly how that felt as a kid. Why it was so easy to access now is because I accessed it so much as a kid. The joy that all of us in my neighborhood was full of kids, and we would just, everyone would wake up early and we'd get on our bikes and go from house to house on our bikes. And we would ride bikes to the, up and down the dead end. And that's just what we did. And it was so much fun, right? Like we would just go from house to house and leave our bikes there until it was time to go to someone else's house. And even when it was just me, like if none of the neighbors were out, I would play bus driver, which even thinking about it right now brings me joy. This little known fact about me: when I was little, for many years of my childhood, if anyone asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, the answer was I either wanted to be a doctor or a bus driver. So the joy of using my imagination, being a bus driver, using my bike was the bus, and I would stop at all the little driveways and the mailboxes, and I would open the door and I would look in the mirror, right? And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And that day when I was riding the bike as an adult for the first time in a long time, I wasn't searching out joy that day, but it was just this instant reconnection to like, oh yeah, that's what joy feels like in my body. So even just thinking about that doesn't mean you have to do the things that you did when you were a child. Maybe you can, right? But it doesn't mean that. Sometimes it's just reconnecting to how that felt in your body. The more familiar it becomes, the more easy it's going to be to access. Okay. Now, I would suggest, like, if it is something that you can do today, right, do it. And what's probably going to happen is your brain's going to be like, I can't do that anymore. Or I don't have time. I can't just sit there and color for hours, or whatever excuse your protective brain is going to offer you. And my suggestion is don't listen. Don't listen. If you would color for hours when you were a kid and it brought you joy and you lost yourself in it, get a coloring book and color. It doesn't have to be for hours. It doesn't have to be perfect like it was then. It's just reconnecting with the feeling that it brought you. Okay, so that's the first thing. Think about what brought you joy as a kid. See if you can keep doing that now, or if you can somehow recreate it, or even just become familiar with the feeling again. The second way to reconnect is to look for the simple ways to reconnect. Look for the simple joys, right? A lot of times we complicate this. When someone's like, how do I find a hobby? We try and make it real complicated. Like, oh, well, this is going to be my hobby. So I'm going to have to go out and take a class and buy all the equipment or sign up for classes. No, just start with simple joys. The things that you know will always connect you. Laughing, listening to music, making music, being present in an undistracted situation with people that you genuinely enjoy. There's very little that will bring you joy quicker and easier than spending quality time with people who love and accept you. A few summers ago, Dave, Emily, Parker, and I went whitewater rafting. Now, whitewater rafting isn't going to be my hobby. I don't have any desire to take it up as a hobby, but the joy, the pure joy I felt while we were out on this river in this raft was so strong that I literally shouted, I am feeling so much joy right now, like a fucking nerd. And listen, the rafting was super fun. We had a great time, but the joy was coming from the situation, not from the rafting. It was coming from being present and undistracted with my favorite people in the world and having fun. And we were laughing and screaming and we were all in it together. Being present, quality time with people you love, especially the ones who love and accept you for who you are, and connection. Those are the simple ways to start remembering what joy feels like in your body and creating more of it. Okay, a third way is to ask for signs. I am a big fan of asking the universe for help, asking the universe for what I want. So tell the universe, hey, I am ready to reconnect with joy. I don't know what that looks like. I am open to ideas, right? I am currently prioritizing fun, and I'm ready for anything that you've got for me. Just declare it to the universe. Set that intention that you want, you are seeking, you are desiring more joy. And then just be curious as to what shows up. Okay, you will be shocked how all of a sudden you're going to start hearing about hobbies or interesting activities that sound really fun to you. And listen, they're not all going to be winners, but they will be clues, right? You will either learn this is not for me and here's why, this is more of what I'm looking for. It will get you closer in that way, or it'll just get you closer by saying, oh, this maybe, or something better. Okay. So every time that universe shows up and gives you something, even if it's like a definite, nah, this is not going to be my thing, say thank you. Say thank you so that it will continue bringing you more ideas. That is how the abundant universe works. Gratitude for what is coming and asking for what you want. Okay. And fourth, permission to not have a hobby. Okay. How to reconnect with joy is, I think, just start thinking about what that means differently. Okay. In the same way at the beginning where we were talking about redefining success. Success isn't actually being productive and achieving goals. It's actually joy and love and fun and connection. Right. So we're going to change when you start looking for how to reconnect with joy, how to find activities and hobbies that light you up. We're going to change the way you're thinking about it. I remember when Dave and I first started dating, he had a very specific hobby. Like he would go to work, he played the saxophone. So it was a thing that brought him joy. He did it regularly. He practiced. It was his hobby. And I remember being like, he has a thing. I should have a thing. I should have a thing. Why don't I have a thing? Right. And then I would start asking myself, well, what do I want my thing to be? And well, I don't know. Well, what do I like doing? I remember thinking like, well, I like reading magazines. But that's not a hobby. Like I love going to the bookstore and finding some like random book that interests me and like going down rabbit holes. That's fun for me, but that's not like a hobby. I like going out to dinner. Is that a hobby? No, that's not a hobby. Cooking's a hobby, but going out for dinner? No, not a hobby. And what happened was I was being really judgmental that I was doing it wrong, that I didn't have a hobby. I didn't have a specific hobby like gardening or crafting or the saxophone, anything, right? I'd get into things, but I always lost interest. And eventually I was like, I have to let this go because it would be like every day after work, he would go and do his hobby or later at night. And I'd be like feeling kind of like I should be doing something too. I'm not doing something, right? It kind of goes back to that productivity mindset of like, I should be doing something productive like a hobby. And eventually I just had to let it go. And over the years, I have thought about this so much because of how often people come to me or whenever the subject of hobbies comes up, I have this conversation over and over. So I've thought about it a lot. And here's what I've come to. I think that there are specific hobby people and there are general hobby people. I am a general hobby person, which means I don't have one thing. Like I'm not really a person ever who has ever just had this one thing that I'm like all in and that's all I, focus on and it stays for a long time. That's never been who I am. My things throughout my whole life are always changing. And I had to come to the place where like, maybe that's not wrong. Maybe that's not bad. Maybe that's just who I am. I actually think there are way more general hobby people than specific hobby people, or at least in my experience. I find that people I meet often feel the same way I did. Like, shouldn't I have a thing? And almost everyone that I talk to feels bad about it, that they don't, right? Again, it's just this rule. So enough with that, right? General hobby people unite. If you ask me what my hobbies are, my answer will be, it depends on the week, or maybe the day, or maybe the hour. And what if that's how you feel too, what if it was fine? What if not having a hobby was what was right for you? What if thinking that you need a hobby wasn't true, or that you're supposed to have a hobby? What if that wasn't true? What if instead you could just find things that you enjoy that bring you joy and do them for as long as you want, and then trust that when the interest is gone, something else is on the way. Okay? So there you go. 4 ideas for how to reconnect to joy as an adult. Okay? Remember what connecting to joy felt like as a child and add that back in, or find a way to recreate it. Keep it super simple. Remember that joy doesn't have to come from a hobby for it to count. Ask for signs and then expect to see them. Expect to see interesting ideas of things that might bring joy into your life. And finally, permission to let yourself experience joy in any and every way that feels aligned for you. That can be your hobby, experiencing joy however the hell you want. Okay? Thank you so much for asking this question. I loved answering it. If there's something you would like me to talk about in the podcast, make sure you send that to support@KristenFinch.com or, again, Instagram stories. You can always find me there. And if you want to take all the goodness from this podcast and really start tuning in to how to bring more joy into your life, Calm AF Life is where you want to be spending your time. There's a lot of joy, a lot of laughter, a lot of real, authentic connecting happening in the Calm AF Life program. You have so much direct access to me, plus this amazing, gorgeous, supportive community. There's weekly coaching calls, there's monthly special topics, and I'm on the community page nearly every day to send support or answer questions. If you've ever wanted to work with me, or if you want to simply take the concepts we talk about here and apply them to your life and really start connecting to the joy and manifesting the life you want, Calm AF Life is for you. The link is in the bio. You are ready now. I can't wait to meet you. All right. I love you so much. I will see you next time. If you love this podcast, you will love Calm AF Life. It's a self-paced, lifetime access DIY course that teaches you all the concepts that I talk about here, from nervous system regulation to manifesting with ease. And since we know that true change doesn't happen just because you know what to do, you also get an all-access pass to coaching calls and accountability so you don't stay stuck and you don't give up. The best investment you could ever make is in yourself. Calm AF Life is here for you now. Life's not waiting. Let's get you aligned with your Calm AF self, gorgeous soul. I cannot wait to meet you. Go to KristenFinch.com and join me today.